All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show. It is October 20th, 2022. And if you're wondering why I got my house coat on, it's because it is chilly. And of course, it is Michigan weather as well. So I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Anthony Paulus. How are you doing?
We're doing good here. It's going to be 70 degrees here in Wisconsin this weekend. So that warmness should come over to you, like Sunday, Monday. Till then, enjoy the coldness we've been getting.
Exactly. And also, not to mention, there is a upcoming UFC event. And not only that, there's two title fights in UFC 280.
Yep, we got two big fights. That's this weekend, right?
That's correct. And that's in Abu Dhabi.
Oh man, they like overpaying for the UFC out there. I tell you. So what do we got? What do we got for these big battles here in the UFC this weekend before we get to football?
All righty, we got it. So we have Charles Oliveira and Makhanoff as it's pulling up on my tablet because it will be facing.
I think that's going to be a way better battle than the previous fights that Charles has had, and could see a new champ out of this, but we'll see. We'll see. I think this should be a much more entertaining fight than the last fight that he had, which ended pretty quickly, if I remember.
And then also, that is the main event. It's pulled up on my tablet right now. My tablet's acting funny right now. So that's for the main event. The Charles Oliveira Islam Makhachev. That's for the UFC lightweight. And then for the co-main event is Alderman Sterling and former UFC bantamweight champ T.J. Dillashaw.
Some people call Sterling a paper champion because of the way that he won his title. I mean, we'll see. It's a pick'em. To me, it's a pick'em. I mean, Dillashaw, former champ, more than capable. Sterling, he's got everything to prove in this fight, especially the way that, he won the title. I think that fight's more of a pick'em than the main event.
And also remind it's going to be go ahead.
So, I don't know. I think both fights should be entertaining. I don't know if anybody's going to get knocked out, but, I could see 2 5-round fights happening.
And there's only one female fight in that main card that's in the women's flyweight. So just let people know that. And also, that fight will begin at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's a special time.
Is that on ABC? Or is that on?
That's a pay-per-view fight.
Oh, okay. So it's on ESPN Plus at 2 o'clock on a Saturday while everybody's watching college football.
Right. Basically.
Yeah, not the most savvy. Not the most savvy on the marketing end. But it's good for Michigan fans because it's a bye week.
Exactly. So at least us Michigan
fans.
Oh,
wait. There's Michigan getting another 50 yards in that Penn State defense. I can see it now.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk with the NFL. So we have
let's start off with the NFL. We got Thursday night's game. What do we got? Arizona, New Orleans this week?
Yes, and
with the return of Mr. Hopkins.
Exactly.
Return of Mr. Hopkins. He's going to get all the love, and I'm going to explain why here, because Marquise Brown is out for the season. So if you got Hopkins or stashed him away in a draft and got him in a late round steal like somebody on this podcast did, he's going to probably get all the love because they don't got anybody to throw the ball to. That's why they traded for Robbie Anderson.
Right.
Okay. And I don't and you know me, who's the biggest Kyler Murray basher around. It's me. Okay. He's,
Got it.
you know, it's going to be the same old, same old. The Saints will probably end up winning the game. It'll be an ugly game down in New Orleans. Kamara will probably get his stats. Michael Thomas, he's become the new Julio Jones of missing a bunch of games. You might, he's like Sammy Watkins, play 5-6 games in a season, and that's it, if you're lucky. That's why they went out and drafted Olave in the draft, and and the Saints are stuck with that massive contract with Michael Thomas for another couple seasons. The man got paid and doesn't give a damn. So at this point, what do the Saints have? They got a decent defense. I don't think their defense gets enough credit because that offense sucks, and it keeps the defense on the field longer than it used to be. They used to have a pretty dominant run game. So, Kamara will still get his, right? But what else do they really got? They got him and they got Olave, and that's it. They don't really – Jameis Winston ain't the answer. Taysom Hill ain't the answer. They don't really have a lot. I think this is going to be a game in the low 20s, probably closer than it should be. Probably will be entertaining, but it will be entertainingly ugly at times, but it will be entertaining. But I'll take the Saints in this game.
Now, for the Saints, their defense they're actually 17th in yards allowed per play. They're 29th in the percentage of drives that end up in the opponent's score, 26 in turnover rate, and 28 in passer rating. So that should be. I don't
like it. Like I said, I don't trust the Cardinals. I do not trust Kyler Murray.
How about the Kingsbury situation? Because,
like I said, last week was all we needed to see against that soft Seattle defense, and look what happened. How many points they put up on that soft as butter, soft as Charmin defense? What did they put up? 9? A fat 9? 9. I could have put up 9. Okay?
Gotcha.
Kyler Murray is probably the most overrated quarterback in the league. By far. I'll say it. Overrated. He is the most overrated quarterback in the league. So
another one who I think is overrated is Baker. I've been saying that since he first came in the league.
Well, Baker's overrated too, but he never really got the shine Kyler Murray did as being, they were both number 1 overall picks, but it was kind of like a weak top of the quarterback draft, when you made that pick. Those Oklahoma quarterbacks, man, other than Jalen Hurts, who was kind of a Bama product, and he's actually turned out to probably be the best quarterback prospect from Alabama, and he wasn't even a first-round pick. Other than Jalen Hurts, what Oklahoma quarterback has done anything in the league? Let's talk since Jason Heupel, Sam Bradford, who was another number 1 pick who didn't do jack, Baker Mayfield not doing jack. Okay, Oklahoma quarterbacks don't do jack. It's the skill positions. It's kind of like Ohio State, except those quarterbacks turn out a little bit better than the Ohio State quarterbacks do.
Now, there's some also interesting games, by the way. You have the Cleveland Browns will head to Baltimore. That's an AFC North rivalry game between those two.
Well, Nick Chubb will get his. That much I know. Nick Chubb will get his because that Baltimore defense isn't all that good.
And they can't stop the run to save their own life.
Can't stop the run. Can't stop the pass. Amari Cooper should have a decent game out there. And Njoku should have a decent game in terms of fantasy. Nick Chubb is going to get his. Yeah, he got shut down last week by the Patriots, but let's be real. The Patriots defense ain't the Ravens defense, okay? Chubb will be back to his ways this week, folks. As for the Browns, for the Ravens, Lamar will get his. Mark Andrews is questionable right now, so pay attention, people, if you got him. Okay? So those two will get theirs. Okay? J.K. Dobbins fans, you got to be disappointed. you might need to think about picking up Kenyon Drake because in the last 2 games, Kenyon Drake has gotten more touches than Dobbins has. So you need to be aware of that. The man got 119 yards rushing last week, folks. I picked him up in a league, So, hey, it's not bad to do that. And then for wide receivers, you just can't trust the Ravens wide receivers. You just can't trust them.
You don't know who's the number one guy for that.
You don't know if it's Duvernay or Bateman or what's going on. You just don't know.
Then there's another one, especially in fantasy football, the Atlanta Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, the Bengals, I'm gonna say this right now. Hunter Hurst, if you're going to start a tight end this week and you need one for streaming purposes, he's the guy to do it because the Falcons linebackers don't cover the tight end very well. Okay? Now, the Falcons, shockingly, last week smacked the smack out of the 49ers last week. They smacked them. And they just ran the ball down their throat, and Marcus Mariota was 13 for 14 for a paltry 129 yards, and they got the job done. So what you got to ask yourself is, with Atlanta, they're going to try to run the ball at you. They're not going to throw the ball much. Defensively, if you got tight ends, they're going to lock you up, and they're probably going to have a tough time defending the pass, but defending the run, actually, they've been pretty good at stopping the run all season. So Joe Mixon might not have the best game, but if you got, receivers, they're probably going to do a decent job out there.
Boyd, for example.
I think the Bengals can put up points this week on them through the passing game. I don't know about running the ball on Atlanta much, but I see the passing game being there for the Bengals and Joe Burrow this week. Hey, if you need a tight end this week, try Hurst. Bet you he's probably available in a decent amount of leagues.
And also, you have the Detroit Lions that coming off a bye week, and they'll face against my Dallas Cowboys. As a matter of fact, that's CBS game of the week for the single header.
Well, let me say this first off, okay? That I'm going to take the Bengals in that last game we talked about. And then for this game, I'm going to take the Cowboys because they're going to be able to throw the ball on that and run the ball on that god-awful defense. I don't care if they had a bye week and whatever adjustments they made, it ain't going to be enough. I don't know if Ezekiel Elliott's going to have a field day. I'm going to say that CeeDee Lamb and Pollard are going to have a field day. I think Tony Pollard is going to run like crazy on the Lions. I mean, the Cowboys got a good defense. I think it's going to be a living hell for the Lions. I think it's going to be a lot like the game against the Patriots, where the defense handled business and we got flustered and just didn't do jack crap. And you're going to see Dan Campbell go for it on fourth and, do stupid things in some form or another. You know what? Give me the Cowboys. Just give me the Cowboys. They're going to figure out a way to fluster Jared Goff. And you know what? If you're the Lions at this point, put TJ Hawkinson on the trading block because he had one lucky game against the Seahawks because their defense is bad and he hasn't done jack crap the rest of the year. So it's gonna be selling time soon. You're gonna try to sell every player that's on the last year of your contract. So this is going to be an ugly game on Sunday. Just saying it.
And also, you have the New York Giants, by the way. They're 5-1. They'll face against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is at Jacksonville.
Interesting game. I think it's going to be close. I mean, Jacksonville coming off that loss, they're going to want to prove something. The Giants, Barkley, Bellinger,
Right.
They need a wide receiver they can trust. They don't have that. They got all these wide receivers, but they're all hurt.
Right. That's the tragic.
Galladay, that's a bust. Kadarius Toney, Shepard, they got nobody to throw the ball to, but yet they're 5-1. Okay.
That's
They
amazing.
need some type of wide receiver. I could see them trying to make a trade for a veteran receiver here before the deadline because
do need one
they got
bad.
nobody to throw the ball to. They got nobody, and they need a weapon to throw the ball to. Jacksonville, on the other hand, they should be able to throw the ball. I don't know about run the ball on them, but should be able to throw the ball. I think a game, I see a game in 20-16, 23-20, a close, hard-fought game. I don't know who's going to win. I think that game's more like a pick 'em, but either team's got a chance.
Gotcha. Now, here's another one I'm very interested in: the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. Now, these two teams don't even like each other. As you know, Matt Ryan, he's coming off a season high of 389 passing yards and 3 touchdowns last week. And the Titans defense is surrendering with 23.6 points per game this season. So if Matt Ryan has the performance, Titans defense is going to be in trouble.
Well, I'm going to say it like this. If the Colts have traditionally played Derrick Henry pretty tough the last couple meetings, I think. But if Derrick Henry goes off, it's going to be a long day. On the other hand, can the Colts run the ball? Because they can't. Even Deion Jackson, even though he put up 28-plus fantasy points this past week.
Didn't know that until you told me.
Let me just say this. It's deceiving because he had 10 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown off of those, okay? But the running yardage wasn't there. So the Colts have become pretty much a throwing team because they can't run the ball. I don't care if it's Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, Deion. They're not running the ball because that D-line is not good. And the Titans secondary sucks, okay? So Alex Pierce, Michael Pittman, they're probably going to have a good game on Sunday. I wouldn't be shocked if Mo Alley Cox gets a touchdown as a tight end, but Matt Ryan's going to be slinging the rock a lot Sunday because they're probably not, even though the Titans defense isn't great, that offensive line can't run block worth a damn. And it's bad for Jonathan Taylor, but that line, it's got one amazing guard and 4 guys who can't run block worth a damn. So in that aspect, they're kind of almost one-dimensional, kind of like how the Titans are one-dimensional, or they don't really have a lot of wide receiver help, but they got Derrick Henry, who's a damn beast. Yeah. That'll probably be a close. That game will probably be a close game, and whichever team can dictate their style of offensive play will probably win the game.
Then also you have the New York Jets will be heading to Denver. As Denver is 2-4.
Hey, since the Jets got Zach Wilson, I don't think they've lost. So I'm going to take in, you know what? The Broncos got bad coaching. Russ ain't cooking. Okay, the only winner of this Broncos trade for Russ so far is Ciara and with $290 million. Okay, so you know what? You got a split backfield still where Melvin Gordon should be getting more carries than what he's getting. That offensive line is still crap in Denver. They don't have a true dynamic wide receiver. They got 3 average to above average receivers, but they're not dynamic studs. But that defense is good. They just can't stop the tight end. Okay?
That's what the problem is.
So, and the Jets, they controlled 40 minutes of the clock Sunday against Green Bay, and they were physical. And that defense is good. You know what? Give me the Jets. Give me the Jets in a close, low-scoring game, kind of like Monday Night Football. It's going to be like that, like 19-16, 20-16, 17-13. Something like that.
Gotcha. Then also we got is the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders. That game is at DC, of course.
I'm going to call it now. That the Commanders are better off with Taylor Heinicke than Carson Wentz. I think that offense will play much better against the Packers, but they're still going to lose to the Packers. I think the Packers are just going to be too physical with them, and that Washington defense isn't good. But I think you're going to see improved offensive play by the Commanders. And it may take another week. I just don't see how if the Packers lose this game, they got serious issues. I mean, they got issues on their offensive line with Jenkins. They moved him outside. Move him back to guard. Go find yourself a left tackle. You may have to trade for a veteran. Get it done. And they need a veteran wide receiver because Randall, if you're relying on Randall Cobb and that's your most trustworthy guy, you're not gonna do well. You're not gonna do well. But there's no way that they should be losing to the Commanders. If they lose to the Commanders, they've got issues. I'll take the Packers in this one.
Then, of course, Fox has a doubleheader, so there's 1 of 2 games. So the first one everybody's going to see is the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers. And, of course, they met each other at Super Bowl 54. Of course, the Chiefs won that Super Bowl, by the way.
San Francisco coming off of a loss. They might have been looking ahead and losing to Atlanta. I'm going to take the Chiefs just because they came off of a loss and they're probably going to be pissed. And you lost to the Falcons, but then again, the Chiefs lost to the Colts earlier in this season, any given Sunday. I like the Chiefs in this game. I do think they're better defensively than last year. Yes, you're missing Tyreek Hill, but I think they'll be able to get the job done against the 49ers. I mean, I don't think the 49ers are completely using Deebo Samuel the way they want to yet because they want to preserve him for the playoffs. You can't run him like they did in the playoffs all season long. You'll wear that dude out. So, I see the 49ers as like a 11-6, 10-7 team and make the playoffs and then do some damage in the playoffs because, then it's win or go home. So then you got to be more desperate and they can use Debo in an all-out purpose more. But right now they don't want to do that, and I understand that. So I'll take the Chiefs. If they couldn't beat the Broncos, they're not going to beat the Chiefs. So give me the Chiefs.
And then the other one is the Seattle Seahawks that used to be in the AFC West as they'll face against their former rival, the LA Chargers. That's at LA.
Well, probably won't be a lot of people at that game. Eckler will probably get hit, a touchdown, 50 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving. Will Keenan Allen play? Will Mike Williams show up, or is he going to be the guy that shows up and gives you 25 fantasy points, or is he going to be the dud that gives you 5? You just don't know. And then with the Seahawks, you got DK and you got Metcalf and Kenneth Walker putting up points and Geno Smith. I mean, that Seahawks team is playing with some passion lately. It's on the road. Give me the Seahawks. I just got an inkling. I mean, close game, but I'm going to take the Seahawks. It's Pete Carroll. He'll figure out a way to pull it out.
And plus, he was a coach at USC, so he knows Southern California. So
I don't know if that is really matter. I just think
just saying.
I think it's Pete Carroll. I think the coaching might have a little bit of an edge in this game. So give me the Seahawks in a close one.
Then, of course, I don't know when the last time the Miami Dolphins had hosted a Sunday Night Football as they'll face against the Pittsburgh Steelers, because you were one to say that Pittsburgh don't even have a running game. And, of course, Kenny Pickett is the starting QB. And this one I could see like in 16-10 type of game between these two.
If Tua's back and actually plays, I'll take the Dolphins. I think this game has ugliness written all over it in like 1916, 2016.
Something like that.
The difference will probably be Tyreek Hill.
Right.
So I'm going to take the Dolphins because of the cheetah.
Exactly. And, of course, this will probably be an ugly game. The Chicago Bears will head to New England to face against the Patriots. That's the Monday night game, of course. Joe Buck.
Man. Well, it's a rematch of the Super Bowl of 1985.
Right.
But I hate to tell you, but the 46 defense and Mike Ditka ain't there. And the Patriots are going to cause hell for Justin Fields. And I expect like Ramon Stevenson to do something. To be honest with you, if I was the Patriots, I wouldn't even play Mac Jones. I'd keep the kid you already got playing in there, Zeppy.
Western Kentucky.
I am not a Mac Jones fan. I am not. So at this point, I'm taking the Patriots just because it's the Patriots. I have no faith in Justin the Bus Fields. So give me the Patriots. I mean, David Montgomery might get a little bit of love, but that's about it. And other than Ramon Stevenson, I don't know if you can trust anybody fantasy-wise for the Patriots.
Those are the only two I can think of as far as fantasy-wise between those two teams on Monday night, as far as I know. All right, so now we got the NFL set. Now we head into the college football. So since Michigan has a bye week because Michigan fourth straight was on the big noon kickoff, the Buckeyes will be on the big noon kickoff as they will host the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's a noon game on Fox.
Is that game at Ohio State?
Yes, it is.
I'll take Ohio State. They'll probably win by 25, 30 points.
That'll be over like real quick. Then next one, you have 21st ranked Cincinnati. They will head to SMU. That's a noon game as well.
What was that matchup again? Couldn't quite hear you, Sean.
21st ranked Cincinnati will head to SMU, Southern Methodist University.
I'll take Cincinnati.
Okay, gotcha. Also, this probably more likely be a blowout. 13th ranked Wake Forest, they'll go face Boston College.
I'll take Wake Forest. ACC is pretty weak. Like I said, Clemson needs Wake Forest to win. They need them in Syracuse and North Carolina State and North Carolina to win because everybody else sucks in that conference.
Right. Next one, you have 20 ranked Texas will face against 11th Oklahoma State. That's a 3:30 game.
I'll take Oklahoma State.
Okay. 7th ranked Mississippi will face LSU. This game is at
I'll take Ole Miss and probably a double-digit win.
9th ranked UCLA will face against 10th ranked Oregon. That's a 3:30 game.
I'll take Oregon. Is that game in Oregon?
Yes, it is. It is.
This will be the end of that undefeated run, probably.
Okay.
We're about to see if UCLA is for real. Road game at Oregon.
Next one, you have Memphis. They'll face Tulane. 25th ranked Tulane will face Memphis.
What's Memphis's record this year?
Memphis' record is 4-3. Tulane is 6-1.
Tulane should be undefeated if it wasn't for a pick six. I'll take Tulane in a close game.
Then, of course, you have 24th ranked Mississippi State as they'll travel to Alabama, which is 6th ranked. That's a 7.
I don't think Mississippi State's mind is on football after that death this week. I'll take Alabama. Alabama's going to come back, I think, with something fierce. Maybe Mississippi State might play possessed because of it, and we'll see.
Gotcha.
Tragic, but nonetheless.
Gotcha right there. Next one. This game is on ABC. 16th ranked Penn State will host the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Well, it's going to be a close one. I want to know if James Franklin's going to bring some sandwiches, and can he bring his team out of a tunnel without crying? I think other than that, can they stop the run? Because Minnesota likes to run the ball.
And that's where they fought. That's what they
because last game they gave up more rushing yards than they have all season combined in the previous 5. You know, the one thing I will say with Penn State, they got a pretty good secondary, but they proved Saturday they can't stop the run. Minnesota likes to run the ball. I mean, Illinois beat them, but Illinois likes to run the ball. Penn State is more, they kind of run more like 3 wide receivers. They're not a power running team.
Right.
And is this game at Minnesota?
Penn State. This game is at Penn State.
You know what? Give me Minnesota in an ugly, close game where somehow James Franklin and the boys blow it late.
And then the last one for the rank is 17th ranked Kansas State will head to undefeated TCU, which is 8th ranked. That's an 8 o'clock game.
Hey, Kansas State can win that game. TCU is like the last hope in that conference.
And if TCU lose that game, then it's over for the Big 12.
It's probably over for the Big 12. Exactly.
That's
You know what? Hey, Kansas State went into Oklahoma and smacked Kansas State, but let's not forget Kansas State also lost to Tulane. So,
right.
You know, which Kansas State's going to show up?
And what Martinez is going to play like. That's the other big question is.
Yep.
So, yeah, I have a great feeling that possibly an upset. And then, of course, you did say about the UCLA will lose against Oregon.
Yeah. It's time to shut up or put up for UCLA. They haven't played anybody yet. Other than Washington, they beat Washington. But this is a road game. It's just like Michigan. When they've got to go to Ohio State. Or when Michigan went to Iowa. Kind of the same thing. But Oregon's a pretty tough team. So we're going to see.
Now, since we did college football and NFL, now we're going to do baseball. Baseball, by the way. We're going to do baseball.
Justin Verlander last night getting it done for the Astros against the Yankees, future Hall of Famer. Man's a stud.
So right now that series.
Why the Tigers ever traded him, I do not know.
Right. So that game is tonight, by the way. So the series for game 2 is Houston leads the series 1-0.
I don't know if this is a must win for New York, but if Garrett Cole's pitching, they got to win.
Most definitely. And then yesterday,
that's the National League is tied at 1-1. That's anybody's taking at this point. Whoever's got, like I said, whoever has the hotter bats is going to win that series. Where pitching is going to dominate ALCS, whoever is the better hitting team is going to dominate the NLCS.
I still love those Padres old colors. I'm glad they brought those back.
Well, the fathers, they're doing it. The fathers are doing it.
Exactly. And who would ever thought it would be like Padres and the Phillies in the National League Championship Series? But it's pretty been exciting.
You said Coach when you're talking?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
She's talking about that. So, like I said, it's 1-1, Sean. Either team's got a chance at this point.
Gotcha. Now, let's talk some fantasy football now. Since it's 7:35, by the way, because like I said, it's exciting, but especially when you have baseball and Thursday night football as well. So, for fantasy purposes, who do you like, and what player should be the one that be added on your roster?
Tight end, streaming, Hayden Hurst, weak matchup again, a strong matchup for him against Atlanta.
Gotcha. And then we haven't talked about the defenses.
Robert Tonyan also would be another one if he's available.
Gotcha.
Defenses, Cowboys if they're available, probably not. But if they're available, probably going to get some love on the Lions.
Right. Because I'm looking, it's like, because right now we're at the point right now, it's like the bye week where you'd be like, oh, I need a player right now, like as soon as possible. That's where we're headed into as we're in week 7 in the NFL. And it looks like we actually lost them. Goodness gracious. So if you have any questions, if you're watching this program, make sure you add it on a comment, and then we'll read it and answer your question. So don't be afraid to type in your question. All right. So it looks like my co-host, Mr. Anthony Paulus, we lost them. So there's a couple of defense you can get. You can get the Patriots, by the way, because the Bears, they allowed the fourth most points per game to opposing defense this year with like 9.3, and they also taken 23 sacks, which is tied for the NFL. And the Patriots defense is strong. Also, you got to look at the New York Jets. Now, the Jets picked up 7 interceptions, which is tied for fifth in the NFL. They have playmakers on the side of the ball and starting to play more confidence than as well. They shut down Aaron Rodgers last week, if you guys remember watching that game. And the Broncos played better on Monday Night Football in Week 6, but they still took a lot of sacks. So right now, they have allowed 8.5 fantasy points per game to opposing defense, which is the seventh most in the NFL. So the Jets, if you're looking for a defense, the Jets defense will more likely be a play for that as well. Then, of course, you got to look at the Dolphins. Now, the Steelers have some turnover issues because they have allowed 8.1 fantasy points per game to opposing defenses, which is the eighth most in the NFL. So that's a Sunday Night Football game. And for the 49ers, if you have the 49ers, I want to let you know for the defense, the Chiefs, okay, especially, they have allowed a league low 22.67 fantasy points per game to the position. So if you get the 49ers defense, all I can say is good luck, because there is no way in the world that the 49ers defense is going to shut down the Chiefs defense. I hardly can see that. And then I talk about the Miami Dolphins start the defenses. I want to start with Pittsburgh. So they have no TJ Watt. Okay. They haven't been the same. And they have to deal with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So the Dolphins have been in the middle pack against opposing offenses. And right now, I would say, nope, don't play with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And then also, you got the Indianapolis Colts. Because the Jacksonville Jaguars scored 21 fantasy points against them in week 2. Oh, here we go. I got them back.
Back. Some minor technical difficulties of the emergency system. We are back.
Okay. So I was just letting my listeners know about the defenses. If you choose them, good luck with that. So I was mentioning about the Tennessee Titans defense because Jacksonville scored 21 fantasy points against them in week 2.
Well, I don't know if I would be trusting the Tennessee defense in any situation, but I mean, at this point, most of the good fantasy defenses are already taken, for the most part already. So, I mean, you're at this point where if you're looking for somebody to scoop up off the wire, it's like Hayden Hurst, I think, or Tanyan, if they're available, for tight ends. Then, for running back, it might be like a Kenyon Drake or an Enos Benjamin from Arizona if James Conner doesn't play. Wide receivers, take a look at like Josh Reynolds for the Lions, because they're back at a bye week, and I think, him, I would look at Michael Gallup this week. I think he's going to, it's the Lions defense. It's bad. Okay. And that secondary was pretty banged up. So, like a Nico Brown, whoever that number 2 wide receiver is for Dallas, I think is a good chance to put up some fantasy points at wide receiver, if you're looking off the wire. If you now quarterbacks, Dak Prescott's probably going to have a good day against the Lions, just like everybody else is.
Right.
So, he might be available in some leagues for you to scoop. So at this point, who are going to be maybe some matchup do not start guys? Okay. And
Russell Wilson and Jared Goff is 2 of them I could think of as far as like quarterback wise.
I would think those would be 2 guys you're not going to want to start. I would probably say do not start the Washington running backs.
Justin Fields.
I would say, you know, yeah, there's just some running back matchups that, just aren't really favorable this week. I don't know if, for instance, if the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he doesn't have exactly the best matchup against that very stout San Francisco, rush defense. So those would be like the games like I would look at probably not starting those players in terms of the running game. Okay.
There's another running back, by the way, Kareem Hunt. I don't think you should start him against the Ravens because he hasn't been the same.
I think he's a good start. Actually, I'm going to disagree with you because the Ravens' run defense isn't all that great, and the Browns are going to run the ball at them as long, and Kareem Hunt's getting 50, 60 yards a game, and if he gets a touchdown, he might make a couple catches out of the backfield. He's capable of getting you 10. I think he's averaged pretty much double-digit points every fantasy game this season.
How many carries he have? That's the only concern I have.
Well, if he gets 11 or 12 carries and Chubb gets 20, like Chubb gets, let's say, 20 to 22 and gets 120 yards, and then, it's not bad, but, at this point, I'd almost be willing to say that I'm fine with starting. Now, last week, I would have told you no because of the way the Patriots defense is. But this week, I think I'm fine with starting Kareem Hunt this week. Not starting, but more like a flex, somebody you need as a third.
That's appropriate. Okay, I can see that. That's appropriate. But as a starting wise,
I'm not saying starting. If you need somebody like, as a running back 3 in a flex and you're in a tight situation, I think that's a way to go where you could put Kareem Hunt out there.
How about Eno Benjamin of the Cardinals?
It depends on James Conner tonight. If James Conner don't play in 25 minutes, I don't even. They've already announced if he's playing or not. James Conner. I don't think he's playing. I mean,
that's another running back that can't stay healthy.
If James Conner is not playing, then, which I'm sure that's out by now, and I bet you that he's DNF tonight. If that's the case, then Eno Benjamin's going to probably get you, 10 to 15 fantasy points tonight because he's more than capable of catching balls out of the backfield, and he can probably get 50, 60 yards rushing if they give him enough carries.
Right. That's the concern I have. So I was like, stay put, and he could be like a flex.
I think he's more than capable of 10 to 15 points.
Right, because he did carry the ball like 15 times last week.
Yeah, and then he's probably going to get some touches by passes also. So I think he's fine.
And then what's another one for a running back? Matter of fact, for a running back is James Robinson of the Jaguars.
Well, they're going up against the Giants this week, and, it's a little bit more of a stout defense this week. The Giants have been particularly good on run defense.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And then you got to split carries with Travis Etienne. So I kind of want to avoid the Jacksonville running backs this week.
Because they're more likely going to pass the ball than running it, in my
opinion. They're going to, if they fall behind, they're probably going to be forced to throw the ball. Then, then that's probably more the Travis Etienne type of game of receiving the ball out of the backfield.
Because they have been playing close games lately so far this season.
They have been, but like I said, if you're going to run the ball, it's probably going to be more James Robinson. But if you're having to throw the ball out of the backfield, it's going to probably be more Travis Etienne.
Right. Now, as mentioned before on the show, not today, tonight's show, but previous show, that the Carolina Panthers fired their coach. Now, if there was another
Making
coach
$834,000 a week for the next 4 years. Balling.
exactly. So,
I
and
need to
like I
get be a head coach and get fired.
said,
Bang.
hey, that's payday right there. Now, if
Bang.
there was
Bang.
exactly, if there was another head football coach that could be fired, let's say like Arizona lose to New Orleans, could you see Cliff Kingsbury getting fired during the season or probably like after?
If he was going to get fired, would be very late because the Bidwells are cheaper than molasses. And I don't know. I don't know what his contract situation is, but I would imagine. I think if he's in the last year of his deal, then it really doesn't matter. But if he somehow signed an extension and has 4 years left, no, I don't see it because the Bidwells are notoriously cheap.
And let me see. So, Killsbury, as part of start to the 2022 season, he signed a 5-year extension that would keep him through 2027 season.
Yeah, they're not firing him as much as they probably should not have agreed to that extension.
I thought that was way too early.
Way too early. Way too early, way too extreme, and they're going to probably not reap any benefits out of that.
So far this season, he'll be making 5.5 million this season.
Probably 5.5 million more than he probably should be. 5.4 million more than he should be.
But not 5.5. That's
Well, he's got to make a little dough.
exactly. Now I'm trying to see, is there any other coach I can see that can get fired? I know Clinton.
Dan Campbell could be on the hot seat.
I think Pete Carroll is safe.
Well, Pete Carroll's safe. I'm not worried about Pete Carroll's job at all.
It looks like it's safe. Him and that general manager.
I mean, if there was a coaching job right now in the league, it's tough.
It is.
It's tough because there was a lot of coaching changes during the season. I mean, every team that's kind of needs a coach, you would think, is not doing good. They're pretty much first year coaches already, right?
Like I've heard.
So I mean, Carolina was that one team you knew from the get-go. If things didn't go right, you knew the axe was coming pretty quick. I mean, the Lions could be that team. The Broncos, hey, maybe they just made a mistake with Nathaniel Hackett, and this just ain't happening.
Head coach at all. I'm sorry.
It's not like the Broncos haven't fired a guy yet before in their first season after 1 year.
And if they do fire him, which head coach is going to take the Broncos job?
Well, you probably need somebody with an offensive mind because the defense is fine.
Right.
But, the biggest issue with the Broncos, I don't even know if it's coaching as much as that offensive line is awful. Not Broncos, not Steelers running game awful, but they can't pass protect. They can run block a little bit, but man, they can't pass protect. It's the opposite. They can't pass protect. And it's not pretty.
Because the only head coach right now I can think of is Sean Payton, but I don't see Sean Payton joining the Broncos.
And whoever's going to get Sean Payton is going to have to pay a pretty penny to get him.
Exactly. I don't know if the new ownership of the Broncos do that.
Sean Payton's going to probably get $10 million a year. He's going to get paid and get paid fat. And he's going to want to go into a good situation. And I don't know if Denver's a good situation.
I can't see him doing that. No.
Because you've invested all this money in Russ, and Russ has finally become a dud. And The thing is that Denver doesn't have that elite wide receiver that he can throw the deep ball to.
Right.
And he's always had that in his career in Seattle. And he needs that guy, and he doesn't have that in Denver, and that's a huge issue. But besides that, I don't think Denver is the right situation for a guy like Sean Payton. He needs to go into a situation like, I'm going to say it. If it was the right situation and the Lions got the right quarterback and you got Jameson Williams and he would be able to develop and be that kind of wide receiver, and with the Lions projected to have $90 million possibly in salary cap or more going into 2024, I hate to say this, people, but the Lions are going to suck this season, and they're going to suck next season. Whether you want to hear it from me or not, that is the Brad Holmes plan. They want to get rid of all these bad contracts and completely suck. And then when 2024 comes around, you know what? They're going to have tons of cap, flexibility. They're going to be one of the youngest teams in the league, and then they're going to build from there. And then you just got to hit on the right picks. And as long as you don't keep drafting injured players in round 2 who turn out to be busts, then you'll be okay.
Hey, that sounds like a plan for if you're the Detroit Lions for 2024. I'm trying to think of. And I'll probably wait some other assistant head coaches, and I'll probably okay. Like for example, like I remember I heard Eric Bieniemy's name's been mentioned previous seasons, but he hasn't gotten a head coaching gig.
Well, at this point in his career, the Chiefs keep going into the playoffs, but I don't know how many people believe it's him versus just the Andy Reid system, and I think.
Is more Reid than him.
People are scared off a little bit by that, in the sense that is it Andy Reid or has Eric Bieniemy actually done something?
Right. I think that's
because Patrick Mahomes is a stud. And how much have you truly had to do with that development? Because by the time you became the offensive coordinator and did everything, the guys that were there and developed them have already moved on to head coaching jobs or got fired or something else. So, I think teams are a little scared off, I think, at this point on Eric Bieniemy. I mean, will he eventually get a job? He probably should get a job.
Right. Like
the question is will he?
Exactly, because he has a nice resume. But
I think he's more than NFL capable. I think the real question is he ready? I don't know.
And what team will take a chance on him? Because we're going to see
that I do not know.
And we don't even know which assistant head coaching will get a job. Will get a job after the season's over if their team not in the playoffs or not. Team not making.
Yeah.
So that's what because you're going to hear like, oh, I heard his name before. He should get that gig. That's what we're going to hear about.
Inside.
Now, is there?
Yeah, I think it's.
Well, I'm trying to think of any other events. I did watch some crappy basketball game Tuesday. The LA Lakers. And I was like, oh yeah, the Lakers are so bad. That team needs to start all over once again because they were bad before LeBron even joined that team.
Yeah, well, we're finally here. It's crappy teams and basketball season and everything else at this point, and people are trying to figure it out at this point. I mean, we're one game into the NBA season, basically, I mean, can the Lakers be better than what they were in their first game against the Warriors? Yeah, lock the door. Yes, they can be. Unless they kind of do some major trade or something, the Lakers are going to be mediocre this season.
And you're going to have to give, get some picks, like as soon as possible.
You know,
But
what I think
they're
is
not
going to
gonna do
happen.
it at this point.
What I think is going to happen with the Lakers is this: at some point during the season, they're going to be able to find a team to take half of Russell Westbrook's contract, and they're gonna get go running across the street, and they're gonna get a capable player, okay? Because some bad team's gonna want that $24 million in cap space at that point, okay?
All right.
And when that happens, they'll get those one or two good players, and the Lakers might squeak in and be a playoff team. But how good, I don't know yet. I just see that coming with the Lakers.
And then
It's not now that you got to be worried about the Lakers. It's
the
what are
future.
they going to do when it's time to trade Russell Westbrook on that expiring contract? Somebody's going to take that deal because it's going to be favorable at that point for them to eat that $24 million because they suck in the shed some salary. So the Lakers, what they're going to do is they're going to trade Russ and they'll get a better player in return, but they'll probably have to eat a bad contract also.
And then also looked at the Sixers and the Celtics. It looks to me that the Celtics will be all right as long as there ain't no bad things happen. Because the Celtics, they prove themselves they can go to the playoffs every year. Heck, they almost won the NBA Finals. You know what I mean? So it looks to me like Celtics will be all right just as long as they go according to the plan, don't have a slow start like they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're early in the NBA season. It's a long way to go here.
Right.
Long way. We've got 81 games left in the season, and a lot of things are going to happen. So
Right.
we're one game in, but that's kind of like my Lakers prediction at this point.
Right. And we don't know what the LA Clippers is as long as Kawhi Leonard stays healthy. That's an if. I don't have them going to the NBA Finals, though, but that's an if. If Kawhi can stay healthy. Now, is there anything that we need to know of as far as like sports wise, or I think we covered all?
No, I think we're pretty good.
That's what I thought. So, if you are listening to the audio, you can find the S&P Sports Show on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Apple Podcasts. And you can also follow our live stream on YouTube at Sports for America on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitch. So if anybody's watching on Twitch, thank you that you are listening to this broadcast as well. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. That is S4A Stewart. That is the letter S, the number 4, the letter A, STEWART. And in the near future, we'll be writing articles on the Super Draft Pro free game. So please pay attention to that. And we also put the Week 7 NFL TV map. We'll put that on our social page as well. So that way you know the games we played in your area. All right. So once again, we will see you guys next Tuesday. Well, Tuesday coming up, by the way, as from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you so very much. You guys have a nice and wonderful weekend and enjoy your Thursday night football. So take care.